Welcome to the Own Your Day AI podcast, powered by RescueTime. Here we turn RescueTime's blog posts into engaging conversations that help you learn and grow. Let's get started.
You ever get to the end of a workday and feel like you've been busy like the whole time, but can't quite pinpoint what you actually accomplish?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a common feeling, isn't it?
It really is. That sense of being on a constant spin cycle of emails, meetings, and, little fire drills that just eat away at your focus. 9 a.m. rolls around, you blink, and suddenly it's 5, and you're just left wondering, where did those hours actually go?
Yeah, that feeling of putting in a full 8 hours and only getting maybe 1 or 2 of truly productive work. It's surprisingly widespread.
It really is.
It's the modern reality for so many constantly switching contexts, reacting all the time, instead of being able to proactively dive deep.
Absolutely. And that's why we wanted to take a closer look today. It's something that's getting a lot of attention as a way to maybe break free from that reactive mode. We're talking about time blocking.
Right. It's a strategy that apparently is used by some incredibly focused individuals, people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Cal Newport talks about it a lot.
The deep work guy. Yeah. So what's the core idea here? How's it different from, say, just a regular to-do list?
Well, what's really interesting is the fundamental shift in mindset.
Yeah.
A to-do list tells you what tasks need doing,
Okay.
while time blocking goes a step further and dictates when you're actually going to do them.
Okay.
It's about deliberately carving out specific chunks of your daytime blocks for specific activities.
Now, I know some people listening might be thinking scheduling every single minute, that sounds incredibly restrictive, stressful even.
I get that.
Like you're turning your day into this rigid, unyielding schedule that any little hiccup will completely derail.
That's a completely understandable first thought. But the counterintuitive thing is that for many people, time blocking actually leads to more calm and control, believe it or not.
Really? How so?
By proactively filling your schedule with what's important to you, it can become a surprisingly effective shield against those constant time-draining interruptions from the outside. As the behavioral designer Nir Eyal put it, paraphrasing slightly, you can't really call something a distraction unless you know what it's distracting you from.
Makes sense.
Time blocking helps you get really clear on what you want to be focusing on at any given moment.
Okay, so let's dig into how this actually works then. What's the core principle that makes time blocking effective? Why does it work?
The core principle is really focus. Our brains respond well to structure, and time blocking provides those essential boundaries for our attention during the workday. Without that structure, we often fall prey to Parkinson's law.
Parkinson's law, right. Remind us what that is.
It's the idea that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion.
Yeah. If you have all day to do something, it takes all day.
Exactly. So by allocating a specific block of time to a task, you're creating a natural constraint. It encourages efficiency. Think of it like giving yourself these mini deadlines throughout the day.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It's like creating little pressure cookers for productivity, sort of.
Precisely. And beyond just avoiding wasted time, focusing intently on a single task during a dedicated block can dramatically increase your output.
How much are we talking?
Well, some research suggests that single tasking can make you as much as 80% more productive compared to constantly switching between multiple things.
80%?
Yeah.
Wow.
Plus, knowing that you've intentionally scheduled time later for things like email or Slack, it can really dial down that feeling of needing to constantly check in and respond immediately. That fear of missing out,
Right, that FOMO. Cal Newport, as we mentioned, he's a huge advocate for this, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. His research into deep work, that focused, uninterrupted work on really demanding tasks, it highlights the power of this approach. He even suggests that a well-structured 40-hour time-blocked work week can achieve the same results as an unstructured work week stretching to 60 hours or more.
60 plus. That's a pretty compelling argument right there.
It really underscores the impact of being intentional with your time. However, and this is important,
Right.
It's key to be realistic. Time blocking isn't some kind of magic bullet.
Right.
There are definitely potential drawbacks to consider.
Okay, good. Because no system is one size fits all, is it? What are some of the common challenges? Why might this not be the right fit for everyone?
Well, one of the first hurdles is just the Significant time and mental energy required to set it up and then stick with it.
Okay.
Scheduling every minute of your day in detail is, well, it's a significant investment of time up front. It's much more involved than just jotting down a quick to-do list.
Yeah, I can see that.
Another challenge pops up with unpredictable schedules. If your days are constantly changing because of unexpected requests, urgent demands, adhering to a rigid time block can feel practically impossible sometimes.
I can definitely relate to that, especially when you factor in how notoriously bad most of us are at estimating how long tasks will actually take. The old planning fallacy, right?
Exactly, the planning fallacy. You might think a task will take an hour, but it ends up swallowing half your morning.
And throws your entire schedule out of whack.
Yeah, precisely. And that leads to another potential issue, just being really vulnerable to interruptions.
Yeah.
If your whole day is tightly planned, even a single unexpected meeting or an urgent task can throw the whole system into disarray.
Leading to frustration, feeling like you're constantly playing catch up.
Right. It can also bump up against the increasing emphasis on workplace flexibility these days.
How so?
Well, telling your boss you can't address an urgent issue because it's not scheduled in your current time block. That isn't always a practical response, you know.
Fair point.
And one final thing. If you're only focused on those daily blocks, you might maybe unintentionally lose sight of the bigger picture, those longer-term strategic goals.
Okay, so it's definitely not a foolproof solution. But for those of us who are intrigued, who think, okay, maybe this could help and want to give it a shot, where do you even begin? What's step one?
Well, it's really key to approach time blocking as a flexible framework, not like a set of unbreakable commandments.
Okay, flexible framework. I like that.
Yeah. As productivity expert Abby Lawson pointed out, your day rarely unfolds exactly as planned, right? But having that time blocking system in place helps you stay on track better and significantly reduces the likelihood of getting sucked into distractions because you're much more aware of the impact on the rest of your intended schedule.
Right, you see the knock-on effect more clearly.
Exactly. So let's break down maybe a 5-step approach to getting started.
Sounds like a plan. Step one.
Step 1 is to really nail down your high-level priorities. Ask yourself, why do I want to use time blocking? What am I ultimately hoping to achieve here?
Okay.
Is it more focused work? Is it spending less time lost in my email inbox? Is it about getting a better balance between work and personal life? Understanding your why is fundamental because that's what will guide what actually makes it onto your schedule and how you decide to allocate your precious time.
That makes total sense. You need to know what you're optimizing for. Okay, what's step two?
Step 2 involves creating what we can call a bookend template for your day.
Bookend template.
Yeah. Instead of immediately jumping into scheduling work tasks, start by scheduling the non-work aspects of your day first.
Oh, interesting.
Think about your ideal morning routine, how you plan to intentionally disconnect from work in the evening, and make sure you're carving out time for your personal life, whether that's family time, friends, hobbies, whatever is important to you.
So schedule the personal stuff first.
These blocks of personal time are just as crucial, maybe even more so, than your work-related blocks for long-term sustainability.
Can you give us a practical example of what this might look like?
Absolutely. Take Kevin Taylor. He's a founder and academic. He prioritizes his most meaningful work, his writing, by consistently having a dedicated 2-hour block set aside for it first thing every morning, before anything else can encroach on that time.
Wow, 2 hours. Okay.
And for the evening bookend, consider someone like Brad Frost, a well-known web designer. His top priority, especially since becoming a parent, is dedicated family time.
Right.
So his bookends include a scheduled wind-down period at the end of his workday, followed by intentionally blocked-out family time, an evening routine, and then some personal time. His entire workday is structured with the explicit goal of maximizing his productivity so he can be fully present with his family later.
Okay, I like that framing. Maximize work focus to enable personal time. So you've got your personal time locked in with these bookends. What's the next step for structuring the workday itself?
Step 3 is to strategically allocate time for both deep work and what we can call shallow work tasks.
Deep versus shallow. Okay.
Paul Graham, the co-founder of Y Combinator, he famously talks about maker time, those longer uninterrupted stretches, specifically for deep focused work. Things like writing code, designing something new, strategic planning. The heavy lifting.
Right, the stuff that really moves the needle.
Exactly. But realistically, your entire day can't be maker time, right? So it's about identifying those crucial deep work periods and then finding a healthy balance with shallow work, those more routine, less cognitively demanding activities.
Like email, admin, that kind of thing.
Precisely. Answering emails, scheduling meetings, quick updates.
So how do you actually strike that balance in your time blocking schedule?
Dan Mall, a design leader, he provides a really insightful example. He structures his day by starting with a dedicated hour for his most meaningful work, usually in the morning when his energy and focus are typically at their peak.
Makes sense.
This is followed by tackling some simpler, less demanding tasks. Then he prioritizes family time, and later in the day he'll catch up on more work-related items.
Okay.
And notably, he even schedules a specific hour each day just for dealing with email, Slack, and even social media like Twitter.
An hour just for that. Interesting.
The core idea here is to align your most critical, high-focus work with your natural productivity cycle. You know, that ebb and flow of energy and concentration we all have. And then schedule those less demanding, shallow tasks for periods when your energy might naturally dip.
Okay, I see the logic there, leveraging your peak mental energy for the really important stuff.
Yeah.
Smart. What's step 4?
Step 4 is to proactively create blocks for those inevitable reactive tasks that pop up every single day.
The emails, the calls.
Exactly. We all have emails to respond to, phone calls to make, sometimes meetings that simply can't be avoided. The key with time blocking is to consciously choose when you're going to engage with these things,
Right.
instead of letting them constantly interrupt your periods of focused work.
So instead of having your email inbox open and pinging at you all day, you actually schedule specific times to deal with it, like email
Yeah.
block from 4 to 5 p.m.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Designer Jessica Heish, she calls her personal productivity system the Ultra Schedule.
Ultra schedule, I like it.
Yeah, and she actually blocks out a dedicated hour each day specifically for responding to those reactive items like email.
Okay. What are the benefits of doing that?
Well, it offers a couple of significant benefits. Firstly, just knowing that you have a scheduled time for email later reduces that constant urge to check your inbox every 5 minutes, which is a huge source of distraction for many of us.
Sure.
And secondly, it allows you to batch similar tasks together into these focused bursts, which protects the rest of your valuable time for more concentrated, deep work.
Batching. Yeah, that makes sense. Protect the focus time.
And you should also consider maybe dedicating specific blocks just for meetings, and maybe using calendar features like Google Calendar's appointment slots to give people clear windows of when you're actually available.
Good tip. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, recap. You've identified priorities, created bookends, scheduled deep and shallow work, and allocated time for reactive tasks. What's the final step in getting started?
Step 5 is to actually sit down, probably at the end of the day before or first thing in the morning, and write out your specific daily to-do list, all your tasks, work and personal, and then consciously fit those individual tasks into your pre-planned time blocks.
Ah, so this is where the rubber meets the road, kind of.
Exactly. This is the crucial step where you see if your overall framework, your template, is actually going to work in practice for that specific day. Do you realistically have enough time allocated for the different types of work you need to get done? And remember, this initial schedule is just a starting point. It will almost certainly require adjustments and refinements as you learn what works best for your own rhythm, your energy levels, and your typical workload. Don't expect perfection on day one.
Okay, so that's the basic framework. It sounds pretty comprehensive. But what about some of the more nuanced aspects? Are there any quick, actionable tips from people who really live by time blocking that can help someone be more successful with this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are several practical pieces of advice that can significantly improve your chances of success. One key tip is to deliberately build in buffer times between your scheduled tasks.
Buffer times, like little gaps.
Yeah, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. This accounts for something called attention residue.
Attention residue.
Essentially, your brain takes a little time to fully disengage from one task before it can effectively switch gears and focus on the next one. So those buffer periods allow for that mental clearing to happen. It prevents you from feeling rushed or carrying mental baggage into the next block.
Ah, I like that. Give your brain a chance to reset. What else?
Scheduling short breaks throughout the day, and I mean real breaks, not just lunch, is also incredibly important.
Yeah.
Yeah, for both physical and mental rest and rejuvenation. We're just not designed to work at peak intensity for hours on end without pausing. Those short breaks can actually boost your overall productivity in the long run, paradoxically.
That's a great point about the breaks. Often the first thing to go when we feel busy. What other practical advice is out there?
Incorporating daily time management techniques within your scheduled blocks can be really helpful. Well, things like the Pomodoro technique,
Hmm.
Focused work intervals followed by short breaks, or maybe the 2-minute rule for tackling really small tasks immediately so they don't pile up.
Mm.
These can help you stay on track during your allocated time slots.
Okay.
And when you're first starting out, it's generally a good idea to overestimate how long you think tasks will take.
Right. Fight that planning fallacy we talked about.
Exactly. Maybe even double or triple your initial estimate, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
It helps you avoid constantly feeling behind schedule.
Good practical tip.
And crucially, don't forget to proactively schedule time for downtime, relaxation, and even things like learning or professional development.
Yeah.
Productivity isn't a constant, unbroken state. You need time to recharge.
That's such an important reminder. It's not just about maximizing work output 24/7.
Definitely not.
Mm.
Another thing, communicating your general schedule to your colleagues, maybe even your family, can be incredibly beneficial. It helps set realistic expectations for when you're available, when you're likely to respond, and how you prefer to communicate or collaborate. It avoids misunderstandings.
Yeah, manages expectations.
hmm Some people also find it helpful to schedule maybe an overflow day or even just a less structured block each week to catch up on anything that inevitably gets pushed or spills over.
An overflow block.
Yeah.
Interesting idea.
And finally, just remember that your time-blocked schedule isn't set in stone. Be prepared to revise it as needed. Rigidity isn't always the most effective approach, especially when unexpected things crop up. It's really a process of experimentation, learning, and finding what works best for you.
So it's really about finding a system that's adaptable and sustainable for your specific situation. Now, what about the actual tools? Do you need to invest in some fancy software to do this effectively?
Not at all, actually. That's one of the great things about time blocking, its inherent simplicity. You can absolutely start with just a simple piece of paper and a pen, or maybe a basic spreadsheet. Nothing fancy required.
Okay, low barrier to entry then.
Very low. However, there are some digital tools available that can certainly streamline the process and offer some additional helpful features if you want them.
Like what kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, standard calendar applications like Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar are fantastic for visually organizing your time blocks.
Mm-hmm.
You can color code them, set reminders so you stay on schedule, and easily share your availability with team members if needed. Many of these also offer more advanced features and integrations that can be really useful as you get more experienced.
Right, using the tools you probably already have.
Exactly. Then, for staying focused and on task within a specific time block, dedicated timer apps can be great. Things like Be Focused or Forest, which often incorporate the Pomodoro technique.
How do they help?
Well, seeing the countdown timer can be a really good motivator, just visually keeping you on track. And it can also help you get better at estimating how long tasks actually take in the future because you see the time ticking away.
Okay. Any other types of tools?
Yeah, finally, time tracking tools like RescueTime can provide really valuable insights into where your time is actually going.
The reality check.
Kind of, yeah. They can help you identify your biggest time sinks or distractions, understand your peak productivity periods throughout the day, and then set more informed goals around how you allocate your time across different activities based on real data.
So lots of options, from basic pen and paper to more data-driven apps. Whether you prefer the tactile approach or digital convenience, there are tools out there to support time blocking.
Absolutely. Ultimately, I think it really boils down to this core idea.
Yeah.
You can either proactively take control of your calendar, or you can passively let your calendar control you. And time blocking is a really powerful, intentional strategy for consciously taking back that control, which in turn can lead to a greater sense of command over your time, your focus, and ultimately your overall productivity and just your sense of accomplishment at the end of the day.
That's a really insightful way to frame it, taking control. So as you're listening and thinking about all of this, maybe consider this. Even just implementing small intentional blocks of focused time, maybe just 30 minutes dedicated to a single important task each day. How might even those small shifts impact your overall sense of accomplishment and control over your day?
Yes, starting small can be powerful.
Definitely. And maybe ask yourself, what's one specific area of your day right now that feels the most out of control, the most reactive? And how could dedicating a specific time block just to that potentially begin to change the dynamic?
That's a great reflective question to end on. Definitely something valuable for listeners to consider.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for taking this deep dive into time blocking with us today. We really hope this has given you some practical insights and maybe some inspiration to take a bit more control of your time and focus.
Thanks for joining us on the Own Your Day AI podcast, powered by RescueTime. We're here to help you turn insights into action for a more productive and balanced life. Be sure to subscribe and visit our blog for more resources. See you next time.